Hi guys, it's Tara. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm back with another video. But I wanted to come on here today because I was watching a video a little earlier and it made me think about something that is very important, but I understand like a lot of people don't see this. But I might even post a link to the actual video in this video so y'all can get an understanding of how I got to where I'm at. But a few years ago, I found myself buying something from actually Pretty Little Things, and for whatever reason they delivered it to the house, but I guess I wasn't there, so they sent it to the CVS that was around the corner from my house. So I go into CVS to go pick up the package or whatever, because I guess it's like a UPS pit stop or something. So I go into the CVS to go pick up my package or whatever, and randomly, like, the woman behind the counter just starts talking to me. Now, this was a couple of years ago, and I told y'all I've always been a little bit more aware, in a sense, with certain situations. But when it comes to, like, other people of different backgrounds, you're not always aware. Like, you might know some things, but until you actually speak to a person and until you actually get to know people, you don't have a understanding for certain things. So I go into the store to go pick up this package, and this lady just randomly starts talking to me, which I told y'all, people just, they've always done that my entire life. Like, they'll just out of nowhere just start having these conversations or whatever. So she begins to start talking to me or whatever, and she was just like, my family is from Poland or whatever. So I'm like, oh, that's neat or whatever. So I'm not gonna lie, being completely honest, being an African American or a person that I guess identifies as black in this country, you tend to think like our struggles are our struggles and our struggles are ours alone. So she goes on to tell me like, oh, you know, my grandma and my granddad directly came from Poland. They came here on a boat. You know what I'm saying? They had to stop through at Ellis Island, this, that, and the fifth. And she goes on to say, like, you know, their life was completely different than how mine is. Now, me looking at her, I'm just looking like, this is just the average white woman. But see, that's where we've been conditioned to think. So I'm looking at her like, oh, this is just another white lady. But she goes into detail and into, like I said, that was my first initial reaction. And that's why I say, like, we have to stop putting people in these boxes and judging people. And anyways, so she goes on to tell me, like, you know, my family's from I'm third generation from Poland. And she goes on to tell me, like, you know, my grandparents came over here, like I said, on a boat. They stopped through the Ellis Island. Their life was completely different than mine. And the reason as to why she said their life was completely different from hers, she was just saying because when they first got here, life here was so difficult for them. And I began to ask her, one thing about me, if something is interesting, I'm going to keep asking questions, because now you done caught my attention and now I want to know. So she goes on to tell me, like, you know, my family was discriminated against. You know what I'm saying? Like, excuse my language what I'm about to say, because outside of telling this story, I would never call anybody this, and I didn't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have any understanding before she told me this. But she used to be like, she would tell me, like, you know, it was hard for him to get a job. He didn't speak English. People treated him bad. You know, they would call him dirty Polacks and this, that, and the fifth. And it just made me realize, like, well, dang, how many other people in America, grandparents or people, have this same story of discrimination? Like, granted, ours may still currently be existing because we can't get away from the fact that we look the way that we do, but everybody else is pretty much conformed. But she pretty much told me, like, you know, life here was just extremely rough for them, but they figured out, they made it, and here we are, you know, 2 generations later, you know, still trying to make it work. And it made me realize, like, dang, everybody in America has been disrespected and discriminated against unless you were an Anglo-Saxon. And this is another thing that really made me start doing research into a lot of the history of a lot of the people that came over, especially during the early 1900s, when it was like that great migration that came over here. And like I said, into doing my research, I realized every single nationality of people were disrespected. Now, granted, in 2002, well, as of recently, because when COVID first started, there was a lot of hate crimes against Asian Americans. And we all know why. You know what I'm saying? Even though that's ignorant to treat somebody like that because of something, you know what I'm saying? And now it's coming out later. We don't even know if it actually came from over there or if it came out of a lab. Like, then you realize, like, all the Hispanics that are in America around the time that Trump got in office that were being discriminated against. And it's just a reoccurring cycle. It's like all the time there's someone new that's being disrespected. And I think we've separated ourselves so much that we don't even realize this. Like, and it's to the point where it's like, why are we letting this small group of people treat everybody else so crappy when we're the majority? Now, granted, you probably like, black people is not the majority. No, we are only 13% within the United States of America. But it's not just us going through this. You got, like I said, Hispanics that are currently still being discriminated against. You have people that are outside of what is considered white, which I don't even know what white is. Like I said, I guess that's Anglo-Saxon. That's the only people that are considered as white. But if you come from Ireland, that's another thing. If you ever sit down and have a conversation with the redhead, baby, they are some of the nicest people that you will ever meet. And the reason as to why I say, because they're still currently being discriminated against. I remember when I used to work at the gym, it was this girl with red hair. And people with red hair 9 times out of 10 come from Ireland. I'm being honest. Like, I've done my research into genealogy. So, like I said, I used to study all of this stuff back in the day just because I wanted to. Not because anybody forced me to, just because it was interesting to me. I told y'all I'm a nerd. So, if you have red hair, 9 times out of 10, you have some sort of ancestry from Ireland, okay? And I realized, having conversations with her, how down to earth she was. Like, when I say, like, they are some of the nicest people that you will ever meet. But I noticed whenever we would get around large groups of, like, other white people or, like, blonde heads, she would kind of switch up and turn on this whiteness. And it was just like, why are you doing that? And it made me realize, because of the way systematic racism is set up in this country, people come over here and they intentionally forget their identity. And they do it because they don't want to be ridiculed, they don't want to be discriminated against, and they don't want to be brutalized, and they want the process to their life to go so much easier. So they come over here and they say, oh, I'm this. And they get this pass. Like I said, because they can get away with it, they'll just say, okay, I am white. You know what I'm saying? And they won't identify with anything else. So they lose all their culture, all their heritage, for the sake of somebody else's validation. And it's like, why are we continuing to do that when we are the majority? Like I said, we're allowing a small sect of people dictate the status quo. And it's like, why? And I just want to know, like, if I have anybody on here that watch my videos that are from another country, when you apply for a job, do they ask you all what your nationality is? Or what, I'm sorry, not even your nationality. Do they ask you what your race is? Because I've always been interested to know. I've never been in another country and worked a job to have to answer these questions. So I really want to know, like, in France, when you apply for the job, do they ask you what's your race? Or is that something that they only do here in America? And I realize they're using this tool as a way to divide people and make us think like, oh, we're so different. No, we're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, we all bleed the same color. Hopefully y'all all is out here praising the same God. I hope y'all all are praising the same God. But like I said, it's really weird. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we're so caught up in these categories that they've placed us in that we won't step outside of the box and realize, dang, Timmy is over there being discriminated against because his hair is red. Or if you notice, another thing that I'll notice is a lot of the nicer Caucasian people are brunettes. Brunettes tend to be a lot nicer. Like I said, I've only had a few interactions with people that are white where I've been discriminated against or whatever, and they always tend to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. Other than that, like, I've had white friends. I've had, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm one of them people that I'll talk to anybody. If you cool, you cool. Like, I don't look at people and I don't look at their color or what color your hair is or what color your eyes is, because I don't care. Like, what your soul look like. Is it pure? Because if it's pure, I'm going to talk to you. But it's just like, how many other people sit around and they really just think about this stuff? And like I said, we're allowing them to put us in a category and not identify with our true selves because of what? Because we want to get a pass and we want to be validated? Why? And like I said, it's enough of us to the point where we don't have to take this. It's more of us than it is them. Why do we keep allowing them to put ourselves in this box? And like I said, I was watching this documentary of this town of people in Ohio, and I think I actually might go down there myself. The city is called East Jackson in Ohio, and it's this community of black people, but they don't look black. They look, I guess what America would call a Caucasian person. And it's such a controversy because they don't look of a certain type of way, but yet they identify it. And this one particular lady, oh my God, like, she spoke to my soul. Just the way, like, she stood 10 toes down on what she was saying. She basically was like, look, I said what I said. I don't care who outside of here said I'm white. I'm telling you I'm black. My mother was a fair-skinned black woman. She raised me to be black, so therefore I identify as black. I don't care that my skin is white. I don't care that my eyes are blue. I don't care that my hair is blonde. I'm black. And her daughter pretty much was like, well, I used to identify as black up until like maybe the 3rd grade. And when I went to school, everybody kept telling me like, no, you're white. No, you're white. No, you're white. So she was like, after a while of being like ridiculed or whatever, by the time I got to 6th grade, I just started identifying as white. And it kind of was heartbreaking, sort of say, just because how is it you can allow an outside influence and a perception of you to dictate who you are as a person? Why would you allow that? And just the same as if a whole group of people kept calling you retarded, would you then identify as retarded? No, you wouldn't. So why is it okay for somebody to tell you what your race is, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever, put you in a box that you don't necessarily fit in? And that's why at this point, like, we need to get rid of all of these dang on boxes, okay? Like, at this point, if I walk in somewhere and they ask me what my race is, I'm not telling you, because that ain't your business. You know what I'm saying? You can look at me and tell, like, okay, she black, but why do we keep allowing other people to put us in these boxes? And it's just like, it just makes you wonder. And like I said, it makes you think the reason as to why systematic racism is set up, because we keep allowing it. We keep playing into their game. So therefore, it's like, if people would stop saying, no, I'm not white, I'm this, I'm Irish, my people come from here. And why don't we identify from where we come from anyway, instead of what we look like? Because everybody that looks a certain way does not necessarily mean they are a certain way. Heck, you got people that are albino, and that's a skin condition where your body does not produce enough melanin. So yes, you are going to look white, but if you look at them, their features look like mine. And they can't get away from that. But I mean, I'm sure they probably could pass as white, but that doesn't make them any less than what they actually are. So I just say all of this to say, like, why keep allowing a small group of people dictate your identity? Like I said, at the end of the day, none of that even matters. How does what my skin color, this says nothing about me. And especially if you were, first of all, and that's another thing, I've had interactions with people who will say like, oh, you don't remind me of the typical black girl. What does that even mean? What does that mean? Because I'm incredibly educated? Are you trying to say that all black people are dumb? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had certain situations where people will say like, why are people still stereotyping a specific person? Why does any of that even matter anyway? It doesn't. So I just say all this to say, like, we have to stop allowing outside perceptions dictate who we are and be your authentic self at all times. So if you identify as a specific thing, identify that and don't let nobody else's opinion stop you. Now, that's not to say for all of these people out here like Rachel Dolezal, that's different. You can't just wake up one day and choose to be something different. That's not, no. No, like, if this is where your people come from, and that's what you choose to identify as, then do that. And don't let anybody else's opinion dictate that. If you choose to say, I am going to be this way, and this is who I truly am, don't allow another person to dictate who you are as a person to the point where you're not being your authentic self. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like I said, we're at a point in history where things have to change in order for us to evolve. In some situations and systems have to be broken down, and people have to get out of this ideology in order for us to move forward. And like I said, it's too much division within this country to the point where everybody doesn't realize everybody has a struggle story. Whether that story may have been 100 years ago or 50 years ago, or whether it's still going on today, every person in this country, if you are not an Anglo-Saxon, has some sort of struggle story. Heck, I had friends when I used to work at the gym that were from many different places from the Middle East. You had people from Yemen. You've just had people from Iran, and even they're still discriminated against. 9/11 is coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has been discriminated against within this country. Why do we still not realize, dang, we all going through the same thing? Why we keep allowing them to do this to us? I don't know. But like I said, hopefully something changes to the point where people start to wake up and realize it's the 90%. And we're allowing the 1% to control how we view ourselves. You should never let an outside opinion dictate how you feel about or how you see yourself. That's not okay. But anyways, you all, I hope you all have a beautiful day. I am going to do another video because this video just pretty much came up randomly. I seen this and I was just like, I want to have a conversation about this because this is crazy. Like, it's really crazy. But I will be posting later on the video that I actually planned on doing today after I post this one. So y'all gonna get 2 videos back to back. The other video that I'm gonna post, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna kind of be long just because specifically today I wanted to do this one particular video. So yeah, I'll be back. Bye.